is a teaching message by Pastor Forrest Hill, founder and pastor of Church of the Living Water, Austin. Now, here's Pastor Hill with a life-changing message.
I don't want you to think that Sodom and Gomorrah didn't know who God was. What they had done was they no longer wanted to honor him as God. See, we think judgment is for the wicked. No. Judgment are for those who don't want to honor him as God. And if you don't honor him as God, that's called wicked. That's evil. And they said, let us get to Zoar. And the angel said, well, okay, we can do that. But as soon as the sun came up, it began to rain fire and brimstone. My question is, how long did it rain? We call sprinkling rain. Now, I don't. When it sprinkles, I call that a mist. Is it raining outside? No, it's misting. Isn't that how you say it? If you're from the South. Now, I don't know what you call it up north. I'm not from the north. But down south, if it's not raining, we call it misting. Rain is fat drops for a long time. It's the kind of stuff, we call rain the stuff that it don't seem like it's going to stop. I don't mean, sometimes here in Texas, it'll pour down for 3 minutes and then all of a sudden the sun come out. That's a scattered shower. This wasn't a scattered judgment. This was rain. Are you paying attention? And the people there deserved the judgment, or God never would have done it. Now, when we talked about this, we saw that one of their problems was their homosexuality. That's not the only reason why it rained fire and brimstone. It is a reason. Because they had become so reprobate in their thinking that anything that they wanted to do, they thought it was all right to do. Let me tell you, they had no law that told them that they couldn't do that. And so we also believe because our laws say that it's legal, that God is okay with it. You ready for this? Huh? I don't care who you think you can marry. God already told us what it was. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife, a female, and they shall be one flesh. Nowadays, you got 2 husbands and 2 wives, and that's not God. Is that why judgment is coming, Pastor? No. It's coming because you forgot God. You didn't consider his standard in your choosing. I know it might be hard to understand what I just said. No, it isn't coming because you have chosen that lifestyle. It is coming because you forgot God. And that's how you chose that lifestyle. See, you changed. I had a standard, but then I changed because I had my soul vexed by the conversation of this world. And I chose differently. And we've had people who have entered into public life and lobbied and made certain laws and certain things legal. And we think that it's all right with God because a man said it's okay. And God said, yeah, but you didn't remember me. You didn't remember me in your thoughts. You begin to do something else. And after God has patiently waited and offered his grace, we still decide to do our own thing. And trust me, there is a judgment that's coming. Are you with me here? Now look at verse 21. And he said unto him, see, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city, for the which thou hast spoken. But that city had judgment on it. He said, we can get to this city, spare this city so we can get there. But that city had judgment on it. It was Sodom, Gomorrah, and the surrounding towns. They said, we can get out of Sodom and Gomorrah. We can't get past some of these surrounding towns. We can get as far as this before you, because I understand as soon as the sun coming up, the rain is going to come. Are you paying attention? Verse 22. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou come thither. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. And then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Now check this out. So, who was in the front? Lot. Now, behind Lot was his wife and his two daughters. Now, I kind of, just reading this, I would say his wife was bringing up the rear. God said, don't look back. So Lot didn't know until it was too late that she looked back. To look back means she stopped, she turned, and she looked, longing to be where she had just left. To me, that sounds like fire and brimstone. Have you ever seen rain coming? I mean, I could drive from here to my house, and it's raining over here. And I get to a certain point down 79, and the road is dry. And when I get home, I can see the rain coming. That's what was happening. She stopped. Lot didn't know she had stopped. Lot's daughters didn't know that she had stopped. But at some point, when they got where they were going, she was not there. This is not a judgment because she turned and looked. This is her stopping, longing, and got caught up. I don't think you understood that. We assume God turned her into a pillar of salt, but he didn't. He didn't. Why would he do that when he wanted to get her out? No, she got caught up in the rain. How can you see judgment and stay there and wait for it? Now, the thought processes of some people, they would say, well, this makes sense to me. But to me, I'm like, that's the stupidest thing. If half the congregation got the flu, I ain't hugging and shaking hands with nobody. Yeah, but the Bible says greet each other with a holy kiss. I'm like, you keep your lips to yourself. Ain't nothing holy about that snotty nose you got. So you know it's wrong. See, this woman stopped. I want you to see this. And she got caught in that rain. It turned everything to ashes. It had to be the rain that turned her to that. The heat was so intense that it dried all the water out of her body. See, we would think, well, there they are. They're trying to get away. She's in front of Lot. She turns around. Lot said, don't turn, don't look. And she turned to put, no. She was behind him. Listen to this. This is an Eastern culture. And in the Eastern culture, the man is always first. And the wife is last. So she was behind. She stopped. She looked back, wanting and longing. Listen, they barely got out of town. They weren't in the city good. And the rain caught her. Let's see if I can show you something. Look at Luke 17. You don't believe me, you believe Jesus, right? Luke 17. Is it me or is it warm in here? Huh? Mumble, 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 mumble. Don't start that, Pastor. Well, you got to understand, like fire shut up in my bones. I don't know about you. Let's start at verse 22. And he said unto his disciples, the days will come when you shall desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and ye shall not see it. I'm hoping that that's not today. I really am. But it's starting to look kind of strange out. Right? Watch what he says. And they shall say to you, see here, or see there. Go not after them, nor follow them. Do you understand that principle there? See, judgment is coming. So when they start saying, God chose this man to do this, and he chose that man to do, he said, don't go after that. This is what God is doing today. This is the leader God has chosen for you. He said, don't do that. You know, Jesus alone is the head of the church. He's not putting men in office to lead you nowhere. He's already given you the standard to live by. Are you understanding this? So he said, you make sure that you don't follow them. For as the lightning that lighteth out of one part under heaven, shineth unto the other part under heaven, so shall also the Son of Man be in his day. When he comes, it's like the rising of the sun in the east and how everything is lit up in the west. He's not coming privately. There's no private nothing going on around here, right? But let's jump down to verse 26. And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. So everything seems to be going along fine, but there's still a judgment. Watch this. Likewise also, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they build. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. In that day, he which shall be upon the housetop and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. And he that is in the field, let him not likewise return back. Remember Lot's wife. Isn't that what that says? She wanted her stuff. He said, when it's time to go, go. She stopped and turned. She thought maybe she could go down there and get her stuff. Because they got out just them. They went down to Sodom and Gomorrah, according to Genesis 13. They had a lot of stuff. They had so much stuff that they had to leave Abraham because they couldn't live in the same region. Was this woman trying to go back to get her stuff? See how Jesus said it? He said, when that day comes and God tells you to move, don't go back down. Listen, if you're on the roof, don't go back down the house trying to pull your stuff out. Don't go back and get your stuff. So he said, just as Lot's wife. Well, what was she doing? Did that woman think she can go back down there and get her stuff? See, I know how we view it, and I know how they taught it in Sunday school, but that's not what the Bible says. You know, she turned and looked and turned to a pillar of salt. This woman seemed to be going back after her stuff. Looking at the judgment. I can just go right back down this trail because I left a few dresses I want. He said, remember Lot's wife. Now, if anybody would know, I would say Jesus would know. It would seem that she had gotten out, was on her way back. Huh? Watch what he says after this. Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it. And whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it. That means she should have forgot all that stuff that was there because someone was offering her a new life. See, that's the trap, that's the danger. Our value system is all wrong. We think it is what we have obtained that makes us valuable. And Jesus said it's what you're willing to lose. What you're willing to lose. And some of us are not willing to lose anything to gain Christ. She wasn't willing. It wasn't that she turned and looked. The angel warned them, don't turn to go back. That life was not worth saving. And what she sought to save, she lost it and her life. Can you see this? I can see this plainly. I know exactly what he's talking about. I know exactly what Lot's wife did. That woman wanted to go back after her stuff. He never told him to pack nothing. Listen, his daughters had husbands that perished. They couldn't go back and get them. See, we don't understand the standard. The standard is, when it comes to me walking with the Lord, there's nothing else of value. I am willing to let it all go. See, I think that's the problem with some people. They're not willing to let certain things go. And they die before they let it go. If I needed an operation, but it was going to, but I was having to go in my pocket to pay out a certain amount of money, and I may have to sell my house to get that operation, you know that house is gone. You know why it's gone? Because you can always get another one. But once you lose your life, that's it. There is no reset. There's no endless life piece that you buy for your video game. It's not a video game. They just want my money. Well, yes. But do you want your life more than you want that money? When you die, whose stuff is it going to be then? It ain't going to be yours. See, because you came in naked and you're going to go out naked. You're not going to even own the clothes they bury you in. In the resurrection, those clothes got to go. You're going to be something else is going to be put on you. So I see what the Lord is saying. He's telling us we got to have the right priorities. These stories here, these lifestyle experiences that these people had in Genesis is for our example. We have to be willing to move on. Let it go. We put ourselves in jeopardy because we're not willing to let it go. We think we know what a successful life is. You know who you ought to ask? You ought to ask Solomon. Solomon was wealthy. Listen, Solomon had houses. He built certain things to waste on his own lust and the lust of his wives. But at the end of Ecclesiastes, he said it's all vanity. See, you think because you got a surround system and a big screen TV, you doing it. Solomon had a band. Solomon came home to play some music. He had a huge house. So he must have had bands. You stop, I'm going to go over here and let them play. He said, but that's all vanity. It isn't worth it. It is about how we live before God. The Lord thought it was so important to do the will of the Father that he died doing it. And he simply asked us to live for him. And there are things that we can't do. I'm telling you, it never ceases to amaze me, the revelation of people. They think, I work all week long. Sunday's my only day off. I'm like, no, Saturday's your day off too. You lying. You got more than one day off. But Sunday, from 10 o'clock to 11:45 is too much. And the rest of the day is yours. That's who this woman was. You know, you want to hear something interesting? What's her name? What's her name? Lot's wife. But the people who lived after God by faith, we know their names. You want to know why we know their names? Their names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life. We know their names. But the people who would not listen, what are the names of Lot's daughters or his son-in-laws? We don't know nobody's name but Lot. And Lot was considered righteous, but he vexed his soul. In God's, listen, the book of Revelation said that there are books that are going to be opened. One book is the book of life. If your name ain't in there, you can kiss the baby. You know what that means, right? Ain't no hope. But there's also a book of remembrance. God ain't forgetting nothing. And the scribes in heaven are writing down every little thing. It's going to be a book of remembrance. And that book will be opened, and we're judged out of those books. I remember when you heard it said what type of God I was, and you rejected it. I remember. There are books. And everybody that said, watch this. Here's the thing that got me. There's a judgment in heaven, one called the judgment seat of Christ. No one that's at that judgment seat is judged out of any book. Nobody. The book of life isn't even mentioned when it comes to sitting at the judgment seat of Christ. Then there's the white throne judgment. And at the white throne judgment, books are open. It is an accounting term. It means it's time to settle up. And everyone who wasn't at the judgment seat of Christ is judged out of those books. I was reading that the other day. The sea gave up its dead. The great and the small was raised from the dead. Listen. Everything that had hell gave up the dead. Hell was taken to the final judgment place called the lake of fire. After the judgment seat of Christ, those people who were judged in those books was taken to the lake of fire. It burns with fire and brimstone forever. I'm like, forever? Listen, it isn't like, some people might say, well, after a while, God's going to let them out. No, it says forever. He can't let you out till the fire goes out and the fire burns forever. At 22, 23, you don't think along those lines. You think, I got time to think about that. And it doesn't matter how long you live, there's still that judgment. We've yet to go to either one of those judgments. We've yet to. And because we are so far away from Genesis 19, from Luke 17, from Revelations 22, we think these things are not going to actually happen. But if Lot could talk to you today, you know what Lot would tell you? I never should have went down to Sodom and Gomorrah. I never should have went to those places. You know what? I should have made up with my uncle and just dealt with the problems that we were having. I never should have left my uncle. Now go back over here to Genesis. Because this is interesting to me.
This has been a teaching message from Church of the Living Water at Austin. For more information about our ministry, please go to our website at livingwateraustin.net.